Good day, listeners. My name is Audrey Polton. Welcome to our fourth educational program in a series of 5. These programs are produced especially for grade 8 physical science learners. The main aim of these educational programs is to help the learners to understand some of the challenging content of this subject better. So listen carefully and enjoy. During this program, we're going to listen to a conversation between two siblings, Martha and Kennedy. So I suggest you take a notepad and a pen so you scribble down some of the important information from their conversation.
Martha, don't tell me that you'll be carrying this table to the hall all by yourself.
It's what I'm trying to do, but the senseless thing doesn't want to move.
Well, you don't necessarily have to lift it up. I mean, just look at the table. It's very heavy. Even I, myself, with manpower, won't be able to lift it up alone.
Manpower my foot. So, what do you suggest I do then, since I have to take this test to the hall before the gathering starts?
It's very simple, Martha. You can just apply force.
I'm sure I have heard of force before, but I can't remember what it is.
Well, force is a push or a pull that an object applies on another object.
Push and pull. If I push, who is pulling then? I just can't get it. And how exactly is that going to help me get this table on time before the gathering starts?
It's not so complicated, Martha. You need to use the same techniques that you use, for instance, when you are opening or closing a door.
Okay, well, I either push it or pull it.
Exactly, Martha. When you do as such, you're actually applying a force.
Meaning that a force causes objects to move.
Yes, and it can also stop a moving object. Just imagine if you are inside the room and you are pushing out the door trying to close it, but someone else is also pushing the door from the other side. So it doesn't close, and it so happens that you are applying an equal force. What will happen?
The door will obviously stop moving due to the equal amount of force being applied from both sides.
Right on point, sister. And take note that a force can also cause an object to either accelerate, meaning to move faster, or decelerate, meaning to slow down.
That makes so much sense now. Just like one can use a force to slam the door. So, what are the units of force and how can we measure how much force was applied?
The units of force is Newton, and its symbol is indicated as a capital N. It can be measured with a spring balance, and we can represent a force diagrammatically with a line and an arrow.
Okay, so what does the line and the arrow represent?
The line represents the magnitude or the size of the force, and the arrow represents the direction in which the force is going.
Alright, but can you please explain more about the concepts of push and pull as individual terms? I'm still confused about these two.
Okay, let me put it this way. A pull force can be also referred to as a force of attraction, which causes the object to move towards each other. For example, positive and negative charges, north and south poles, and gravitational force are pulling forces.
Meaning that a pushing force can be referred to as a repulsion force, and it causes objects to move away from each other. Then some good examples of these are positive and positive charges, negative and negative, and also south pole to south pole and north pole to north pole, and so on.
That's right, Martha. Another good example of force is friction. And one more important thing to take note of is that force in everyday life can be classified as contact or non-contact forces.
Okay. And how can one differentiate between the two?
It's very simple. A contact force is a force acting when objects are touching one another. For instance, friction between the car tires and the road.
Oh, I see. Then I guess a non-contact force is a force acting when objects are not touching each other. For instance, magnetic force and gravitational force.
Eish, sis, you're on point. Anyways, there's only 30 seconds left before the bell rings. I'm guessing you might want to apply a pushing force to move the table and get it in the hall.
I almost forgot that I have an uncompleted task here with me. Let me start pushing my table already, even if it's going to make a whole lot of noise. They all should understand that I have no other option.
See you, Martha.
See you in the dining hall then.
Wow, that was an interesting conversation between Martha and Kennedy. We learned that a force is a push or a pull that an object exerts on another object. They also defined pulling or attraction forces as forces which causes objects to move towards each other, and a pushing or repulsion force as a force that causes objects to move away from each other. Those that listened till the end also heard that forces can be classified as contact and non-contact forces. Martha and Kennedy gave us a few examples of each of the two. But now I leave it up to you to look for more examples of contact and non-contact forces. Before I leave you to it, I would like to pose a question to name another example of a contact force. Thanks for joining us. From your host, Audrey Polton, it's goodbye. And to all of you learners, please utilize the rest of your day productively.
This program was brought to you by NAMCOL with funding from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture and the Commonwealth of Learning.